So, seeing how this channel covers comic books and art, I thought I might as well talk about a character that I've talked about in the past, but I think that Conan is the character that really you have to know how to draw quite well to do. Not a lot of artists can draw Conan. We actually have seen that one. Because you always have, like, your typical Conan guys, you know? Or did have your typical Conan guys, you know? Barry Windsor Smith kind of learned how to become a better artist literally on the pages because he had no other choice but to. And then, obviously, the most famous when it comes to comics is John Buscema. And then if you want to talk about somebody who really had an impact on Conan, you know, in the early beginning days, you had somebody like Frazetta. So I wanted to take a look at this Marvel art of Savage Sword of Conan, which Savage Sword of Conan, if you've never read it, is an amazing series. It's in magazine format. It's not in regular comic book format. And the reason why is because you want to look at the art, because the art is just mind-blowing. And Marvel put this book out, and they decided that they were going to take all the stuff, all the important beats from, you know, Savage Sword of Conan, and just kind of put it in a book, in an art book. And I absolutely fucking adore this because the majority of it is John Buscema and, you know, Barry Windsor Smith. So we're going to just take a look at this and kind of go through this. So Savage Tales is, I believe, where it started. And you kind of look at this. And when I see the artists, you know, it tells you on the bottom, but I'll just kind of go, oh yeah, that's this person, that's that person. So, I mean, obviously, according to this, John Buscema, great cover. And I imagine John Buscema absolutely loved the thought that, like, he can do Conan, and then somebody could, you know, paint it. Or maybe he did the color on it, I'm not sure. But, I mean, when you look at that, you go, man, that has, like, a Frazetta feel for it. I actually like John Buscema more than I like Frazetta, and I'm sure that somebody from the art who loves the art aspect of it more than they love the comic book aspect is probably going to call me a moron for thinking that, but I actually do think that his work was better than Frazetta. And I think that John Buscema kind of just got thrown to the wolves because he made comic books. So, you know. Now comic books are kind of respected more than they were, you know, 40, 50 years ago. So we have a piece from Frank Brunner here. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, look at that. So here's another John Buscema cover. I mean, it's like Frazetta. I mean, look at that. Man. Stan was not lying when he said he was the Michelangelo of comic book art. He's not lying. It's absolutely true. I mean, this guy's making comics, and then he's doing these amazing covers. So this is a Barry Windsor Smith. I know that for sure. So this is Red Nails. Barry Windsor Smith grew so much as an artist on Conan. It's amazing. Conan is one of those series that I absolutely kind of look at and I go, man, I am just not fucking feeling drawing today. And then I look at it and then I go, you know, Barry Windsor Smith, as great of an artist as he is and was, he definitely kind of was like this Conan. He was definitely this Jack Kirby clone, and he was a bad Jack Kirby clone. He wasn't a good one. He was not a good Jack Kirby clone. He was fine, but Jack Kirby should not be drawing Conan, you know? Jack Kirby was not known for being anatomically correct. He was kind of just known for being fast and really good at storytelling and kind of taking his style and making the characters that we know, and then other guys kind of taking those characters and going, let me clean this up a bit. Jack Kirby, probably the greatest comic book artist of all time. Probably not even in the top 1,000 greatest artists of all time. And a lot of people go, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, but I do. You know, and he was a bad Jack Kirby clone. And then you look at something like this and you go, man, he grew. I mean, that was 73. I think Conan came out in like 72. So, I mean, well, let's see. Red Nails, I believe, was after Conan started, but I mean, he grew so much even in a year. I think Conan was 71 or 72, so he grew so much in a year, and he stopped trying to be a Kirby clone, and he just kind of became himself and became a far better artist. I mean, look at this. Yeah, look at these pages. Let's move this camera up a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't make it so you can't even see it at all. But man, look at these pages. Look at the detail in the work. I mean, just the lines. I mean, he's going the contour lines around the form. Just great work. I love that they added fucking red nails to this because it's just absolutely amazing. Look at that. So this is interior for Red Nails in 74, so early 74. And I love that they you know, show these pages. Absolutely just interesting perspective. And Barry Windsor Smith. Amazing. So this is a Neil Adams cover. Another great fucking Conan artist. And then that's also Neil Adams' piece. These covers, striking. Absolutely striking. Amazing, amazing covers. So we go back to John Buscema. And then this is Jim Starlin. Interesting. I feel like Conan was drawn a certain... Oh, you can even see the Zipatone come up. That's funny. I feel like, you know, John Buscema was like Kirby in the sense like, okay, this is how Conan's supposed to be drawn, and then guys kept it and they tried to copy. And then eventually they just went, okay, well, you know, we have to either draw like Buscema or just make it our own. And some guys managed to do that, but not very many artists did Conan other than Buscema and... excuse me, did Conan that people liked other than Buscema and Barry Windsor Smith. Absolutely amazing. Look at that huge... Just look at that piece, man. Absolutely fucking great piece. That's gotta be Buscema, right? It's gotta be. Man. Look at that drawing. If you don't look at that page and go, holy shit, that guy's absolutely amazing, there's something wrong with you. We have a Boris Vallejo. Very interesting. Boris Vallejo is a bot. I'm sorry. This is Mike Zeck. Mike Zeck. I'm going to go through his Punisher run. That dude is absolutely amazing. I'm going to go through his Punisher run at some point. Extremely underrated artist. So this is a Boris Vallejo. Boris Vallejo, I guess, was coming and they were going, we can't get Frazetta, so we're going to do Vallejo. I have no problem with Vallejo. The only thing is his stuff is very, very stiff. Very, very stiff. But take a look at that Mike Zeck piece. Holy shit. That is straight. That is just like, he looked at a Frazetta drawing and went, okay, I gotta do... You know, and a lot of these guys probably went, oh, I fucking love Frazetta, so I'm going to be able to do kind of like my own Frazetta piece. I wonder if Buscema liked Frazetta. He had to have. I mean, why wouldn't he? So, we have another John Buscema. Look at that perspective. And I love those lines to get the texture on the buildings. then we have another Boris Vallejo. That's who you got when you couldn't get Frazetta. It's not a bad drawing. It's a great drawing. I mean, I couldn't draw something like that, but you can definitely see that he was a Frazetta. He definitely was a fan of Frazetta. This I know is a John Buscema, which also I think this is where Mark Silvestri got that cover idea for Wolverine, or for X-Men, and Wolverine's being crucified. Pretty much an exact copy. And then we got more John Buscema. Man, look at that. Man, if you don't appreciate that art, there is something wrong with you. And I just love it how the rib cage is back and the pelvis is slightly back, like he's trying to like move out of it. Man, what a great piece. And then we have Sunny Trinidad? I've never heard of that person in my life. The art's fucking great. I've never heard of that person in my life. It's probably some like famous artist that I don't know. It would have been so cool to be Robert E. Howard and see this stuff. Robert E. Howard, obviously, you know, for those who don't know, creator Conan, killed himself, and I don't even know what the books like. If there was even art associated with Conan at the time. I don't think so. I think Frazetta was the first guy who really kind of put the art there. I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me on that. But man, absolutely amazing artist. Frazetta was, and he kind of gave the look for Conan, and that didn't exist when Robert E. Howard was alive. So we have an Alex Nino piece. And I like some people's takes on Conan because they're very different than Buscema's. Very different. I still like that. Is he putting lines through there? Very interesting decision to kind of put the lines through there. That doesn't look like Zipatone. Looks like he's actually putting lines through. And the reason why I say that is because they look like they're off. So we have another Boris Vallejo. Boris Vallejo got very busy during this period of time, doing the Savage Sword of Conan covers. So we have some Walt Simonson. Very interesting. So we have a Frank Brunner again. It's interesting because you do actually get these different versions of Conan, but they all kind of follow that Buscema feel. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I love that piece. The anatomy's a little weird, but it works. Oh, look at that. Great. Get a map that tells you kind of like what you're looking at. Not really necessary, but it was done, so whatever. These more Boris Vallejos. Boris. I imagine that's also, yeah, Boris. Yeah, Boris was good, but I don't think he could have ever done comics because, like I said, his stuff is very stiff. I do like that they had a little pen and ink drawing there. That's very cool. I couldn't imagine, you know, going to the comic book shop or the store. They probably didn't have comic book shops back then, but maybe they did. And, you know, going to the grocery store and seeing one of these. I mean, I would absolutely, my mind would have been blown. I would have been like, holy shit, what is that? You don't see that you don't see stuff like that anymore in comics, and it's weird. I hate to sound like an old man, but you really don't see that shit in comics anymore. And I don't know why. I don't know why. That's Buscema again, I know that. You can definitely tell. Oh no, that's Neil Adams. Wait, am I wrong? I was about to make a comment. It's either Neil or... But here's the thing about Neil and John. They're so similar. Their work is so similar that honestly, if you were to screw the two of them up, it wouldn't... I would not... I would not judge you by any stretch of the imagination because their stuff is very similar. I feel like John Buscema had a huge impact on Neil Adams. Another Boris Vallejo. And then another Mike Zeck. Mike Zeck coming in with these amazing pieces. Absolutely fucking love Mike Zeck. Mike Zeck, man. It's very similar, though. I will say, if I can find it. I'm only going to take like 2 seconds if I can't find it. It's very similar to that. I'm telling you, Mike Zeck is a great artist, but it's very similar. But then again, I mean, you have that certain look to Conan, you know? So that's another John Buscema. And I love how he added that dark under the eyes of his Conan. Oh, I didn't even see... Richard Corbin, hey. Anyways, we'll get to that in a second. So we have a cover here. Great cover. But fucking Richard Corbin. I never saw Richard Corbin do Conan. That's crazy. As you know, if you've watched this channel, I'm a huge Corbin fan. I never saw him do any kind of... What a weird pinup, too. Because there's no Conan there. That's a very rare, and it's in pencil, or it's in pen and ink, which is very rare when it comes to Richard Corbin, I feel like. So you have Tim Conrad, great. Oh yeah, great. That's a great piece. Would have been a great Wolverine piece too. Kind of hunched over, and he's so much bigger than that guy. You know, he's fucking ginormous. Inks by Alfredo Alcala on this on John Buscema. Alfredo Alcala, I think, was also like a very popular inker, I believe, or maybe he just was the inker of John Buscema on Conan. I'm not sure, but I've definitely heard that name before. These covers are great, man. I love that they add the covers. That would have blown my fucking mind if I had seen that. These pieces. I'm surprised that one made it past Marvel offices. Earl Norm. I've never heard of Earl Norm, but he drew a great Conan. Love that. Another Jim Starlin. I never knew Jim Starlin did Conan. Oh, Dick Giordano. More John Buscema. More John Buscema. Great piece, man. Just, what an artist. I feel like that torso was a little too long, but looks great. Like I've said before, that's the weird thing about being, when you start drawing, is like you notice kind of these imperfections, and then you call these imperfections out, and then you look like a moron because you can't even draw. I couldn't draw that good if I had 50 lifetimes, but you know, I notice like it's a little bit long, but it works. That shows you how important when people tell you when you become an artist or when you start drawing, learn proportions, fuck proportions. You don't need proportions. Fucking irrelevant. I mean, obviously sometimes shit's gonna look wrong and you just kind of fix it. But you can tell proportions are not the number one thought on Buscema's mind when he was doing that drawing. This looks interesting. Who's this? Page 75 and 74. This is Frank Brunner again. Great Conan artist. I've never heard of Frank Brunner before. Never heard of him, but man, is he fucking awesome. That anatomy looks fucking weird. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Frank Brunner probably didn't know his anatomy that well. But it works. And it looks great. We have a Gil Kane finally. Gil Kane's coming in the mix. Val Merrick? Merrick? I've never heard that name before, and I'm sure that people go, oh yeah, he's a Conan guy. I don't know. More Frank Brunner. Great Conan artist. See, now he looks like he knows how to draw anatomy. Maybe he just went, I'm going to draw muscles on top of muscles as much as I possibly can because I want to make them look as buff as I possibly can. It's very possible. Man, I love these Frazetta. I mean, that's definitely a Frazetta thing. For sure. Gene Colan. Absolutely love Gene Colan. Gene Colan drew like this the torso was the up the rib cage, the chest was very large on his Conan. More Earl Norem. Oh, we got a Sal Buscema here. Interesting. You can definitely tell that he was the weakest of the Buscemas, but he was still pretty good. He was still pretty good. Imagine picking up your copy of Conan and you go, oh, it's fucking Sal Buscema. That's a great piece. Absolutely love that piece. By Tony Dzunga? Whatever. Fucking love that. That's great. Man, this reminds you, like, playing, like, Dungeons and Dragons and shit, and when you used to buy, like, NES games, and you would be like, man, the covers are cool, and then you go home and the game looked like shit, and it played like shit, and you go, it looks nothing like the cover of the game, and you went, well, whatever, I guess I gotta pretend. More John Buscema. I love that. He kicks the fucking guy. He goes fucking flying. Absolutely love that. Great piece there. And that looks great too. That neck looks like shit, but it works. Again, I probably wouldn't notice that if I didn't draw every day, but because I draw every day, I go, that doesn't look right, because I see that shit all the time on the stuff that I do. And I go, oh, my neck doesn't look like it's actually attached to my torso. Anyways. I hate this glossy paper, though, because I can never see anything. More John Buscema. Looks great. Once you've seen... Oh, are they showing it? Oh, no, they're just showing the next page. Now, look at that. Fucking great piece. I love that. Man, Earl Norem was the cover guy. He must have gotten paid a lot for these Conan covers. Or maybe he got paid nothing to do them. You know, it's really sad because I think he's a better artist than Boris Vallejo. I just do. More John Buscema. If you are a John Buscema fan, I definitely would say get this book because the majority of this is John Buscema. I mean, you can see a lot of John Buscema's work. I've considered buying like John Buscema books. They're all extremely expensive because they're made by like some weird fucking company and they make like 300 of them and then you have to pay like $5,000 for them. You don't really need that when you kind of have this. You know, you kind of get to, look at his work without the color, which is great. Ernie Chan. Ernie definitely added a lot of anatomy there that doesn't exist. It's like he drew a tricep on Conan's back. And then added 5,000 more muscles. But man, look at that face. Absolutely great. That looks very stiff. Very, very stiff. Looks like your action figures that you would get. Ernie definitely was a very stiff artist, for sure. At least in those pieces. Earl Norm coming back again. It's a great piece. That's John Buscema. Whoever this inker was, they did a lot of heavy brushwork on that. Some more Ernie Chan. Man, look at that. Look at that horse. Great horse. If you can draw a great horse, you're pretty damn good at what you do. That's for sure. If the drawing didn't tell you enough. I love this too because this kind of like Conan's one of my favorite characters to kind of figure out what artists I want to study from. And I learn a bunch of new artists I've never heard of before. But a lot of it's Buscema. More John Buscema. I like the inker that they put him with. I like that they kind of made them more like thick ink lines. And I love that. I love his Conan. Tony Dzungia. I'm sure it's probably way more simple than that. Wow. This is great, man. I love going through this. And the funny thing about Savage Sword of Conan is it had the best. What's an Alex Toth? Really? Huh. That's an Alex Toth doing Conan. I was never a big Toth fan. But very interesting. I never even knew that Toth did Conan. But that does look great, though. Interesting. You learn something new every day. I've owned this book for like 3 years, and I didn't even... Or 2 years. I never knew Alex Toth even did Conan. The thing about these books is, like, I'm going to get way more use out of them later, once I get more confident with my ability to kind of get the figure together. Joe Jusco, by the way. They started bringing the comic book guys in because they're like, hey, why are we paying these fucking fine artist guys? But the thing about these books is that, I don't get a lot of use out of them right now because I'm still trying to kind of find my way with kind of putting things together and making, my figures look like figures. But, yeah. I definitely would say if you're at that point where you feel confident with your ability to build the figure, and you kind of want to draw stuff very similar to this, obviously, I mean, this would be very helpful for you. Gil Kane, man. Gil Kane's absolutely amazing. Such an underrated artist. So that's pencils by John Buscema with inks by Ernie Chan. Interesting. Very interesting. Some more Joe Jesco. Oh, interesting. So we have a Bill Sienkiewicz Conan. Never knew Sienkiewicz did Conan. I feel like everybody did Conan. Because I feel like Conan was the character that you would do. To kind of be like, you don't think I can draw? Let me show you I can draw. Conan was definitely not a place that you would go to start. Unless you were Barry Windsor Smith. Probably because of the fact that they had no thought in the world that, you know, Conan was going to do that great. And then we saw what happened with Barry Windsor Smith. Barry Windsor Smith kind of went, oh, you know what, I'm just going to become a better artist. And I think a lot of the reason why Conan is so popular is because of Barry Windsor Smith. You got to give him credit. It's been a while since we've seen a Buscema piece. Finally got one. Just fucking great piece right there. Just looks amazing. I mean, especially the great thing is being able to see kind of later work by John Buscema. Because as John Buscema kept going and going and going, I actually bought some issues of Punisher Warzone drawn by John Buscema, which is amazing to think that he did Punisher. I had never known that. And, man, was he, at that point, he was just like so fucking good that he was untouchable. Bill Sienkiewicz. Great piece by Bill Sienkiewicz. Man, look at that. Who's this by? Rudy Nebres? Something? Man, look at that. That is very difficult to draw. Kind of reminds me of Corbin. Very similar. I don't know. Maybe it's the face here. That looks like a Corbin face. I imagine guys are looking at Richard Corbin at this point, because Richard Corbin was doing some great stuff at this point. Probably past that point, actually. I mean, you get the entire history of Savage Sword of Conan here, which is great. Joe Jusko's, Michael Golden, more Bill Sienkiewicz. Yeah, what a great fucking book. Absolutely amazing. I don't know when Savage Sword of Conan stopped. It had to have been like in the 90s, I imagine. Some Andy Kubert. I also picked up some Punisher issues drawn by Joe Kubert. Joe Kubert did Punisher, believe it or not. I never knew that until I was like, this is fucking Joe Kubert? When the fuck did Joe Kubert do Punisher? I'll go through those books at some point because it's interesting. They're Punisher Warzone, like, and I imagine nobody bought them in the 90s. They're like, where the fuck would I buy Punisher? And then, you know, maybe they put those guys there, like, these old fucks, nobody wants to buy their shit. And then you look at the books and they're fucking amazing. They're like 1995 or something, and they're putting out these great Punisher, great looking Punisher books. I don't care that it's scripted out by Jerry Conway. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? I want to know who the artists are. I don't give a fuck. Oh, it's written by Roy Thomas. Who cares? Isn't everything written by fucking Roy Thomas? No, this one's Jerry Conway. Who cares? You're not buying Conan for the story. You buy the fucking book for the story. You buy the comics for the script by Chuck Dixon. Who gives a shit? Who's that? I don't know. Great piece though. Nice gutter too. There's like, it's not cutting off the drawing. You can actually look at the drawing. Great piece. Absolutely amazing piece. I love that face on Conan. Like, just that crazy. He loves killing, man. That's a man who loves killing. That's a great piece. That's a great piece. Great covers, man. Great covers. More John Buscema. So some late John Buscema, 92. Some more Ernie Chan. John still had it in 92. Absolutely still had it. He had to have been like in the 60s at that point. But he still had it. He still had it in 92. Never lost it. Michael Kaluta. That must be like Conan goes into like the real world or something. Like real world, like the modern day. Great piece. I mean, you get these amazing, just like full 2-page pieces. Yeah, look at that. That's a great piece too. I don't know. I love it when kind of you get an inker who puts in like these heavy inks. That's rough. I love that. That's a great piece. That's a great fucking piece. I feel like they were, at this time, they were like, we need to make our covers look cooler than heavy metal. And it never quite happened. But man, those interiors. Wow. Tim Conrad. John Buscema, man. That's a great Conan. 94. I don't think John Buscema was any better than he was in like 94. More Alex Toth. Very interesting. I never knew that Alex Toth. I fucking hate that. I don't like that, man. I don't know. I don't know why people go so gung-ho about Alex Toth. And then you get a piece like this, and you go, okay, wait, hold on. No, I'm sorry. No, that's Michael Kaluta. I was like, that doesn't look like Alex Toth. I don't know, man. I don't know. That maybe that was just like Alex Toth was just lazy that day, and I don't really want to. That's a great piece. That's a great drawing. More John Buscema. You can definitely, I mean, you can definitely tell John Buscema's Conan. And then we get a piece at the back. Page 224, Al Williamson. Interesting. The weird thing about this is, so here's all the artists that you get. You get Barry Windsor Smith, John Buscema, Gil Kane, Neil Adams, Jim Starlin, Ernie Chan, Boris Vallejo, Earl Norman, Tim Conrad, Walter Simonson, Frank Brunner, Alfredo Ocala, Pablo Marcos, Tony DeZungia, however, Bob Larkin, Alex Toth, didn't even know he was in there, Joe Jusko, Gary Piss Pants, I don't fucking know, Bill Sienkiewicz, and Gene Day. So, you get some great fucking artists in here, man. And, I mean, fucking great Barry Windsor Smith piece. That's all I can say. I mean, was he the first name? He was the first name. He absolutely should be the first name because he's the guy who fucking went, yeah, give a shit about Conan. Because I give a shit about my art, so. Absolutely great book. Amazing art. Amazing pieces in here. I mean, just that alone, I think, is worth. This is the guy who is like Richard Corbin. I think we already looked at this. I forget who it was, but man, what a great piece. Absolutely amazing. That looks like, I don't know who that could be. I don't know who that could be. But yeah, absolutely amazing. Love me some Conan. Savage Sword of Conan. I think far superior than Conan, the regular series. So I would definitely say pick this book up if you absolutely can. If you cannot, I think the single issues of Savage Sword of Conan are surprisingly like not expensive. So you can kind of get them in, you know, you can kind of look at them in larger uh, in a larger format than regular comics. The funny thing is I think this book might be the size of what a Savage Sword of Conan would be. Maybe it's slightly smaller. I'm not sure. And the art's amazing in those books. I have a few issues of them, and you kind of just take a look at them, and the stories are meh. The drawing is kind of what you buy it for. So I definitely would pick this book up if you absolutely can. I don't know if it's still available. I know Marvel doesn't have the rights to Conan anymore, which is quite sad. Um, I can't remember who picked it up. I imagine they'll do some kind of art book, so if you don't pick this up now, you can absolutely pick it up later. But and there's mature content in here, so just letting you know. I did not pay $50 for it, I can tell you that. Not even close. And I would say that if you could find it for $50, it's probably worth $50. But I mean, obviously it is because you get to see a lot of Buscema's work. Probably one of the superstar artists of comics, and I mean, Conan is, like I said, Conan is one of those characters where if you're an artist and you want to learn to draw and you want to become a good artist, I definitely think that you should look at these guys and kind of go, okay, oh, okay, I understand what the deltoid is doing now, because not only are you kind of learning anatomy, you're also learning how the anatomy moves as you move the figure, so, which is super helpful. But absolutely amazing book, absolutely worth every penny. Not sure if it's still in print. If it's not, you're gonna have a very tough time finding it, because like I said, Marvel does not own the rights to Conan anymore. So will it ever get reprinted? Maybe it'll get reprinted in some different way. I forget who picked it up. I think it was like IDW or something, or was it Dark Horse? I don't remember what company picked up Conan, but yeah. So. And also, it's another way that you can get a Frank Frazetta type like book without having a Frank Frazetta book and without having to pay out the fucking wazoo. Because if you want to get a Frank Frazetta book, you're gonna have to pay like $300, because those things stay in print for like 2 months, and then you can never find them. I think Tash is, but anyways, whatever. Who cares? So yeah, more art. Savage Sword of Conan. Great work in there by Barry Windsor Smith. Great work in there by John Buscema and other great artists. And again, this is kind of just like a love letter to Buscema and Barry Windsor Smith, and obviously Conan the Barbarian.